for a very special Christmas show. It's Christmas Day. Hi, Carol. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Corinne.
We can say Christmas again.
Yes, thank goodness.
That was a joke. Um, sarcasm, sarcasm. You can't have sarcasm at Christmas time, but I just had to sneak one in. And so today is a very special day. Actually, people tuning in might recognize our voices. But because the show is going to be so uniquely Christmas, they're not going to recognize the show because today that's what we're going to be talking about is the holidays, how they're sup- um, how they're celebrated in different areas, what we experience, and what do we experience as individuals. First of all, we look at our Christmas carols. Some of our most famous Christmas carols and Christmas songs were from around World War II. So they were very longing. They had lots of longing, bittersweet, I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Set the table for me. All of these were from people who many of them weren't able to get home. And so there was a lot of sadness and separation. But even now, some current Christmas songs are cheerful, but also many of them are sweet, but again, like I said, have heavy, heavy longing in them. One of my favorites, and I play it over and over every Christmas. I look forward to Christmas to coming to be able to, and it's called Seeing Christmas Through Your Eyes. And Gloria Estefan sang it. And I should have printed out the words, maybe you can, but some of the words are looking at Christmas through the eyes of a child. And she says, I see the rain, you see the rainbows. And what is happening is that many of us have experienced losses and disappointment at this time because the energy is so elevated. But when you really look at it and what it's about is a closeness of people being together and sharing together. And that's the important part of this season. What do you think about that, Carol?
It it is. I was just thinking about it because I'm hearing Christmas music
Oh,
in
yes.
and in the airports, and I flew back to Wisconsin for Christmas, and it was nice for listening to some more traditional Christmas songs again, which I appreciate. Um, to have that opportunity. Actually, my background is Polish, and even on Instagram, there was a woman with a lovely voice and sitting in her car singing the traditional Polish Christmas carols over the last couple weeks. So that's been a treat.
That sounds fun. I have a friend of mine since before Thanksgiving. I'd get in her car and there'd be Christmas carols, and I go, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I can stand this that long. 1 month is good enough for me." You get through all the songs three, four, five, 10 times or so, and that's it. I'm ready to move on to other things, but Christmas or the holiday, not even Christmas, it's a holiday, um, has many pieces of it going on. One, the sharing of food and lots of it. Very rich food, food that is richer than what we're used to eating, and quantities more than we're used to eating, with reduced physical activity because it's getting dark here At 4:15, the sun sets here. Actually, the shortest day of the year, and which I think that was
The
yesterday,
21st is the
the
shortest day of
24th
the year.
on
So,
Sunday. Yeah,
so
and
that's the winter solstice.
that's the
And
winter solstice.
so we were talking about how many traditions and things come from countries and peoples who've always celebrated the winter solstice.
That was
And
before Christmas.
yep,
That was before organized religion as we know it. And they were celebrating the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice.
so we're headed towards summer again.
So yeah,
Yay.
by a minute a day, I'll take it. A week,
Okay.
that's 7 minutes. Yeah, so it's interesting how the religions then moved in and incorporated the solstice, the traditional celebration of the shortest day of the year from primitive peoples, and incorporated into each and every one of the religions. If you look at the Christian faith, it's the 25th is big, and then it extends depending on which Christian you are, which Christian religion you work with. Um, that extends to the 6th, to the day of Epiphany. And so you have this period of time from the 25th to January the 6th of celebrations and sacred time. In the Jewish faith, you have the Hanukkah, which very often and this year almost overlaps. So again, we're dealing with the solstice. But then in the Muslim faith, this is a big time of celebration, isn't it, Carol?
I think so. I was told in Iran the winter solstice is a big celebration, but think about the concept of lights, because we really have the longest night and the shortest day on the winter solstice. So many of our traditions are really based on lights. We put some backgrounds up. Corinne and I chose some at the last minute, and guess what we chose? We chose
Lights.
lights. So I wanted to bring that up. We have lights outside, Christmas lights. We have Christmas trees. Way back when we even had the concept of a Christmas tree, and people would put actual candles on the tree and light them. Something they had to watch very carefully because it certainly could be
Oh
quite
my goodness.
the fire hazard.
Tinderbox.
So we have the tradition of the Christmas tree as well, intertwined into everything, and we often bring in boughs of evergreens, which are always green, maybe to give us a flavor of the greenness that we're looking forward to, and the greenness that is in the Christmas trees and the wreaths and the boughs that we decorate our homes with, and really bring in a wonderful smell from these trees that also gives us a sense of festivity. So
Well,
there's so many things that are intertwined. We really we you mentioned food. So we have the tastes of Christmas, and we have the lights, the sights, and we have the smells, and we have the Christmas carols, which are we are appealing to all our senses for this wonderful celebration.
it really is quite wonderful, and you can utilize it or appreciate it like we're saying from many different ways. We can appreciate it as a holiday that's associated with a faith, or we can appreciate it as a solstice, which many people do in this time. There's a couple of things to watch out for. I'll mention it, that the majority of weight is gained from Thanksgiving to the end of January. That's when people gain their weight. That's also when um, nature slows down our metabolism because of the darkness, and we
We're sort of
really don't.
hibernating.
Exactly. We really don't want to go outside, and we are eating foods that are richer than we're used to, and we gain the weight for the year. And every year it goes up a little more, up a little more. And so that is also something we're going to want to talk about because now that we know it and understand it, we can avoid it. It doesn't have to be. This is what is, but it doesn't have to be. But I wanted to talk about a couple of the traditions. Well, the tradition that I was brought up with, it's Italian, and I'm Southern Italian, and that's Sicilian. And so many people have heard of the Feast of the Seven Fishes. Oh, well, that must be a very holy type of feast and very heavy in religion. But when you look it up and you start going over and researching it, it's not connected to the church. It's it's connected to Sicily, but the origin of it people don't know. It's not written. We look and look and look, and it's not written. And then it was picked up very heavily in Naples. And then in the north, they sometimes celebrate it, but not as heavily as the south does. The south, it's just practice. And what is it? Let's talk a little bit about it. And guess what? I'm going to talk about some recipes too. What is our deepest memory? The one that you could be walking down the street and you get a whiff of something. And what happens? You're carried back into a memory that you hadn't thought of in years, or emotion is triggered. Something happens, there's a response. And that sense is your sense of smell. And you mentioned it, and I want to mention it, the fragrance of the holidays. And for each people, it's different things. So I want to talk about why seven fishes? Well, they don't really have an exact reason why seven fishes, but we know that the Catholic Church said in all the countries where it had any dominion that there was no meat to be eaten on Christmas Eve. So people then started creating traditional meals around that edict, and they created the seven fishes for the seven apostles, or
No, that was the Polish. We were just talking about 12 apostles.
12 apostles. Oh, the 12 apostles, the pot, then I said
That
the
was
word
a Polish traditional Christmas Eve dinner has 12 courses
12 courses.
corresponding to the 12 apostles. So you haven't solved the mystery yet of seven fishes.
No, we haven't, but I have recipes.
Okay.
I have
So
recipes, but
so is
no,
this
no ability to solve it.
seven fish courses
It
or
can be the same fish, but it's
okay.
different courses.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So we can start out, and very often we start out with a fresh fish salad. And so it's calamari or squid, and you take the squid and you peel it. But now it's hard to find squid that isn't peeled. Most of it's peeled, but then you may take this fine, um, thin layer off of it, and now and you cut it in very thin slices, and you have a pot of boiling water. a pot of boiling water that's quite salty. And also it has bay leaf in it and a piece of lemon in it. And it's boiling, and you take the calamari, these little thin slices, and you put it in the water, and you literally put it in the water inside a sieve so that it's there and you watch it. And when it starts to curl a little bit and the color starts to change, you pull it out and you put ice cubes over the top of it so it can't cook any longer. If it cooks too long, it becomes tough. If it's not cooked enough, it's rubbery. So it's all visual, completely visual. So you have to be standing there, and it's 3, 4 minutes, maybe 5, depending, but 3, 4 minutes. You pull it out, and then you have chopped up celery, onion, olives. Some people, not everybody, but some people have olives, and sometimes a little bit of fine red peppers, not the hot ones, but the peppers, and very fine. And you mix it together with a little olive oil, a little salt, and some lemon over the top. Now you make that early because you want it to marinate. You want the lemon to marinate, and everybody walking by tries to get a piece, and you slap their hand because they cannot. Uh, it'll be all eaten up before dinner if everybody that walks by takes a piece. So that's often the opening course of the meal. Do you want me to go on? You start yours and we'll go back and forth.
Oh, well, I'll start mine. So the traditional Polish Christmas Eve dinner is called Wigilia, and we don't eat until the first star is out.
Oh,
And then
that's nice.
we have a wafer called a płatek that we share. And the tradition is you start with the oldest and go down to the youngest, and you share a little piece of this wafer, and you give wishes to the next person for the Christmas wishes and then a New Year wishes in Polish or not, as your family will do, and then you can eat. And just as you're talking about the 7 fishes, Christmas Eve is a meatless meal. And we have
Because
some,
it's Catholic.
yes, I'm
Okay.
sure from the Catholic influence. So it's
Hmm.
meatless. And we start with a lovely beet soup. Actually, I used to belong to the Polish Heritage Club, and we would do a massive uh, uh, Christmas Eve dinner, usually about the weekend before, because people would have their own family traditions. But we created this, and all the club members would be involved in cooking the thing.
Well, that
So
sounds fun.
it was so somebody would make this lovely beet soup, and
Excuse me.
unlike the Russian one, it's a clear uh, beet broth. So it's ruby red, as you can imagine. Has a
Oh,
slight sour taste because the older recipes have a fermentation part to it, or quick recipes will have some little bit of vinegar or lemon in there. So it's a little bit of tartness with that beet. And I just love this soup. It's just so wonderful. You can serve it with ushki. Ushki are little tiny dumplings, and it's Polish for little ears. So it's just a fabulous thing. So that's one of my favorite things from the dinner. Corinne, let's go switch back to your Italian. ones.
Oh,
What's the next thing after that wonderful salad?
oh, it's really, really wonderful. But then I have a deep fryer. It comes out 2 days a year, and that's it. No, no other days do I fry anything. And one is Christmas Eve, and the other one is New Year's Eve. I fry things, but not Easter, nothing, but those are the 2 days. So then there is a thing called bacala. Bacala, we've all heard the name, or many of us have, and it's a type of fish. Actually, it's just a codfish that's been dried, traditionally dried in salt. So it's quite old, significantly old. So in order to cook the bacala, you have to start 3 days in advance and you soak it. You keep it in water and then you drain the water because you're dissolving the salt off of it and you're beginning to soften it up again. And then you change the water 2, 3 times a day for 3 days. And every time you change it, it's less salty, a little less salty, a little less salty, till the water is quite clear. The fish, when you start, is very white because it's just packed with salt. So, and it also becomes soft. So they take that and they put it on the counter and dry it very carefully with paper towels. And then they make a batter. And this batter is very plain because there's still a little salt in the cod, but it's with it's with egg and flour and salt, pepper, and nothing more. And so you take the cod and you bathe it in some egg, then you drip it in the flour that's been salted and peppered. Some people put garlic in their flour, but I don't. And then you make sure the temperature is correct, 350 in the oil, and then you put it in the oil and you fry it. And because it had been cold, and some people put a little beer in the egg too. It puffs up, or even Pellegrino, it puffs up almost like a tempura, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take it out. And that you can serve it that way, which is absolutely delicious, especially if you've soaked it enough. If you haven't soaked it enough, then it's tough and it's also too salty and it doesn't taste good. And then you can make a gravy with some sparkling water, a little white wine, lemon,
It's not sounding like gravy.
yeah, lemon and flour and salt
Mhm.
and pepper, and you make it and mix it with the mixer with your hand with it, and do not allow um, any lumps in it, and now you have a gravy to put over the cod, or you give little bowls and you dip the cod into this absolutely delicious wine lemon gravy. Absolutely wonderful. Back to you, Carol. Of course, too,
Okay.
you've got 12. You can be going more than I am.
So we have I'm not going to do 12 because I don't know 12. Uh but it of course fish is traditional. So carp is actually the most eaten fish with Polish Wigilia. And it can be simply like a pan fried, or you can do fillets without breading, and you might do an aspic with carp in it, which is all this wonderful gelatinous stuff. I did visit Poland, and we had a lot of dishes which were aspic, and this was new to me. I was used to Jello, so to
Not
have
quite the same.
have meat and spices in those
Savory
things.
jello.
Right, savory jello. So that's part of Polish tradition to make a lot of aspects. We'd also have like pickled herring is was part of our usual menu, which I love dearly. I can sit and eat a bowl of it. I remember my cousin. She has a bar, but she would buy pickled herring by the pint quart containers. I don't know. She'd bring my mom 3 or 4 of those to have at Christmas time because it was tradition. Also, the Polish Club, we would have kind of a combination salad. It would also be um, like grated beet along with those pickled herrings, and that was quite an interesting, lovely salad. Actually, it's making my mouth water right now
I
as I talk about it.
know. Me too. Oh, sounds so
Okay.
delicious.
What's the next fish of your 7 fishes?
Well, next, but understand this is not a sit down dinner where you're just sitting and eating and eating and eating and eating. It's almost like an hours long, multiple hours long, small plate meals like appetizers. So the next thing that I would say, which is not fishes, but it is non-meat, is before the night, you steam vegetables. You steam cauliflower, you steam broccoli, and you slice up a fennel and you also have asparagus. So there are 3 different dishes here, right there. So you take and make a batter of flour. Now you can do it 2 ways. You can make a batter with flour, salt, pepper, and then some egg in it. And then you dip the vegetable, and then you dip it and put it into the fryer, and you fry the vegetable that way. And that's cauliflower, broccoli, sometimes asparagus. It's called frito mista, the mixed vegetables, and absolutely delicious. And you have plates. Every time you use the fryer, you pull the food out. If the temperature is right, it's not greasy at all. And you pull the food out with a sieve and you put it on a paper towel. So if there's any oil there, it drains out. And then you again start passing the plates around, and people ate that. But then there is a salad that is made very commonly. They call it Sicilian salad. It's made with fennel, tomatoes, oranges, and oranges are very Sicilian. Uh, Sicilians cook a lot with oranges. Oranges, olives, sometimes the bitter olives. So you have the sweetness of the orange and the bitterness of the olive. And then, and then I said tomatoes, excuse me, some onion, and you chop it up in pretty fine. And you've had baby potatoes and steam them so they're soft and cold. And you put these, excuse me, you put these together with some olive oil, and now you make that early because it needs to marinate. The olives give it a very strong flavor. The fennel is very good for digestion and gives it a sweet licorice flavor. The tomatoes are cut up. The orange gives it a sweet flavor. And the asparagus is in there, and sometimes even string beans with onions. And you mix it all together with salt and pepper. And it is an amazing salad. So you have a vegetable course with cauliflower, broccoli, and fennel. Some people cut the fennel and dip it also and deep fry it, which is also quite wonderful. And then all these memories are coming back. There's a thing called carduna, which I see every once in a while in the stores here, and it's a very unique form of artichoke. So if you have you ever touched an artichoke and then put your hand to your tongue? Oh my goodness, it's so bitter. Well, carduna looks like a giant mutant celery. That's what it looks
Uh-huh.
like. Very long, very big, with big, thick um, spines or threads going through it, mostly on the outside. So you get it and you cut it. And again, if you touch your hands to your mouth, oh, so bitter. And you peel each strand of the big threads that go through it. Then you cut it up and you boil it in salty water. Then you throw the water away and then boil it again. Then you take it out. This is done prior to the meal. You take it out and you leave it on the counter and let it dry. And now all the bitterness is gone. You take it, you dip it in the flour and put it in the fryer, and it's absolutely wonderful. So that's a whole vegetable course. And I'll pass it back to you, Carol.
Okay, so I want to talk about compote. So at one Christmas Wigilia with the Polish club, I was assigned the compote and realized that we're cooking for 100 people.
Whoa.
So I have a great big soup cauldron or whatever, huge. I don't know the capacity, but I had dried fruits in there, and you simmer and blend, and this has to be cooked for a while. Multiple dried fruits go in there, and then you top it off with brandy. And that's also served on Christmas Eve, or fruit compote. Has a bit of a zinger. It takes a long time to cook it, and I had to make a big uh, kettle of it to serve 100 people. So that was a
Whoa.
challenge for me, but you can't beat it. It's so flavorful, and of course the brandy in there is quite nice too. So that goes toward the end of the meal. And back to you, Corinne. So what's next after the vegetables?
Well, after the vegetables, very often they're shrimp, and they're cooked in two ways. One is they're shellless. The shell is removed, and which takes a period of time. And you get a big pot of water, lots of salt, more salt than you think is necessary, and bay leaf, and then slices of lemon, or even half of a lemon. And the water's then boiling. And again, you put the shrimp in, and you're watching it every minute, because from the time it starts to turn pink, slightly pink, it goes very fast. And the whole thing becomes pink, and you scoop it out and put it on a plate of ice cubes because you do not want it to cook any longer. Too much cooking on shrimp makes it rubbery, not very good. So then you take it out and you arrange it on the plate and you serve it with a sauce, a dipping sauce. There's two dipping sauces, a regular tomato sauce and then a hot tomato sauce, very hot. So you can dip it on either one. And then the rest of the shrimp is dipped in the batter and then fried. So that's considered two dishes. So, because it's two ways of making the shrimp. Now you're getting pretty full, but there's more to go. Go on, Carol.
So at the end of the meal, and for Vigilia, we do have sweets, and using poppy seed is quite common in Polish culture. So you could have a little cake or cookie with poppy seeds. We don't have a big plate of desserts because you're oh so full after all this wonderful food. We tend to sit down and eat. It's a sit down meal, and everybody's together and lots of conversation. Both in my family, that was the case in my family, and it was the case in our Polish club grand meals. And then, of course, we have uh, caroling. So we sing Christmas carols in Polish, and we have musicians to accompany us. I did see on Instagram or someplace somebody having a Vigilia party, and they had people who were a chorus, and they had multiple musicians. We usually had two. That was traditional. The same two guys would always play at our meal. If we were at home, of course, we would put records on with Christmas carols of all sorts for background music, and this meal would last quite a bit of time. And then, traditionally, although we stopped doing it, it was also traditional to go to church for a midnight mass to be there to welcome Christmas Day, and that was that was not the end of it. Sometimes after the mass, we come back and have coffee and desserts then, and maybe even open some presents.
Sounds fun. Wonderful. So what we would do, um, there's still more fishes to go. How many do I have
Just
so far? Two, three, four. So far, four. But we would do um, some clams or some mussels or both separate
Mhm.
and steam them or make them raw, and they would then be passed around. Sometimes the clams would be stuffed, so you scrape the clam out and put a little breadcrumb and cheese and, and celery and not celery, parsley and salt and pepper. And then you grill them. So the top of the breadcrumbs become all toasty and you bring them out. And then there's fresh clams also that are cleaned with sauce and with sauce and with lemon, hot sauce and lemon, or what do you call it? Um, horseradish and lemon, and it's quite delicious. And then there's another is mussels, and very often those are made in a sauce with tomatoes, and then you get a little bowl and you have them. Do you want to go back or shall I continue?
Well, I'm out of food.
Oh, well, I've got more. Then we have very often we have lobster. And there
Oh
are
my
two ways.
goodness.
I know. There's two ways of making it. One is inside a ravioli. So we have homemade lobster raviolis, and that is made the day before or 2 days before and then put in the freezer. But they are absolutely amazing. And the sauce that goes with the lobster ravioli is called a vodka sauce. So it's with tomatoes, but then it's got cream and vodka and it's cooked. So all the alcohol is out of the vodka and it's not a rose red, it is a pink sauce, more pinky,
Mhm.
and it's absolutely delicious. And then there's another way with the fresh lobster. It's called Fra Diablo, which is very hot. So they cook the lobster and you chop it up and you make a sauce, but a very spicy sauce. And then you have some spaghetti or linguine, and you have these two different types of lobster. And I'm full just talking about it. Oh my goodness, I'm holding my stomach as I'm talking about it.
This is such an engineering feat to put
Oh,
to put that meal together. So when we did it for the Polish club, it took a team, as I was saying, but you have so many dishes and things that require advanced planning and
oh,
different cookware and bringing different things out for that particular season that you don't use all year long, except for bringing it out at Christmas time.
well, my family is 70 plus people. So every year it goes to the Christmas Eve goes to a different house. And they know it on Christmas Eve. That next year it's at Rosemary's house, or next year it's at Karen's house, or next year it's at your house. And people literally renovate their kitchens
Just
to be able to be ready for this. It's really quite funny because so much is being done. So, we've had people and because I was brought up in Southern California, it was still quite warm, and they put a big deck on their patio with a big heater sets, and people sat out on the patio and ate. And but then people, many go to church because it's now about midnight, and people have been cooking back and forth. Men, women go in and out of the kitchens making things. And it's really fun. Then they go to church, and when they come back, guess what it is? It's after midnight. So the grill is going outside, a big barbecue, and they make sausages, homemade sausage that's been made weeks before, preparing, and they make homemade sausages, and then there's bread, and the sausage and peppers sandwiches are served to everybody, and then the desserts come out. You think it's enough? And we
That's
wonder
cool.
why we gain weight.
Yeah, yeah. This is I'm talking about things I looked up the Polish club just before we're uh, uh live today, and you know what I found? The Polish club still exists, although I don't
Oh
live near
yeah.
it anymore. But they had it catered, and I saw it was buffet style. I was so disappointed to see that they had their 2025 Vigilia already. What a disappointment! Because it was as you're talking
It
about,
was
all these people are
community.
involved in the cooking, and so if you just have the end product with not all the helping hands participating, it's a whole different kind of meal.
It's a different kind of meal, it's a different feel. I went to a Portuguese club for Christmas Eve once, and all hundreds of people there, about 800 people. And all the cooking was done by the people, women that there and volunteer and work on cooking and serving and dishes after dishes after dishes. Oh, it was, you think this is abundance. Oh my goodness. You should see. Now you also have to understand there's wines. Everybody's brought their favorite wines and Prosecco. And so this is quite a jolly relationship. It's a really wonderful time for the families to get together and share. And then, because our family was, if you connected with the firemen, you would hear, not too late because it was for the little kids, so it was around 10 o'clock, you'd hear this fire engine, woo, 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 woo. and up would come this fire truck and park right in front of your house. And out would come Santa Claus. And then
Right.
and there he was, and he'd start, and you'd give him a big bag off, and he'd call off names,
Hmm.
and and the kids would be yelling and running forward and being coming back, and it was really a fun time. And I'm not particularly religious, but as a family and a family get together, it really was a pleasure.
Yep.
Hmm.
No, I'm just saying, so I don't do that anymore. Not
Our
quite.
fam our family still does.
Your family still
With
does.
Still does with the firemen, with everything. So all the
Wow.
kids, yeah, all the kids, but there's more. When I was growing up, when I was a young adult, it was 70. It's more now because
Oh my
all my
goodness.
nieces and nephews have uh, 3 and 4 kids, and so all the little kids yelling and jumping up and down as they see Santa Claus. And thinking about it makes me want to cry.
Oh,
I see the rain and they see the rainbows.
yeah, for sure. That's back to the lights. All these lights make everything so cheerful and bright. And it's mood uplifting just to have that. So you had Christmas trees?
Oh my goodness. Beautiful big Christmas trees, all filled with lights. Always, everybody was, everybody in the family has a different Christmas tree and a different type. And everybody's so proud of theirs
Hmm.
and the way it looks and everything. Beautiful Christmas trees. And 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 so with boxes underneath, just lovely.
Just a lovely time of year. And on what happens on Christmas Day? You're recovering.
Literally. Well, we wait. Christmas Day, there's two traditions that were developed, but these are ours. They're not anybody else's. Um, my brother-in-law makes eggnog, a really
Hmm.
special, delicious eggnog,
Mm,
and puts
love eggnog.
and puts brandy in it. And my sister makes crepes, Swedish crepes, because his mother was Swedish. And so his grandmother taught my sister how to make the Swedish crepes. So every Christmas morning, the kids wake up, nobody can open anything or touch anything, and there's all these boxes. Everybody in the house has opened one gift, and that's from Santa.
Uh-huh.
No, no other gifts. And then there's boxes, and and everybody then sits around the tree. And it's now about 11 o'clock because everybody slept in,
Mhm.
and with a glass of eggnog and a crepe, and then they start passing out the gifts. Then at around 3 or 4, there's a meal, and usually that's beef, like a roast, a prime rib roast or something like that, with lots of vegetables. So it's
We'd have
much
a,
plainer.
we would have a turkey usually.
Uh-huh. Well, my brother-in-law uh, owns a gourmet butcher shop, so we had beef. You have what's available.
I
So,
have to bring up something because of my name. I saw a few years ago, and it happened to be in Minneapolis. Somebody they had a play, and the name of the play was A Very Merry Christmas, Carol Peterson.
oh, pretty good. How was the play?
I don't know. They didn't record it that I could see. I would have to travel to Minneapolis to see it. and it was a play written by a young man, and Carol Peterson was his mother.
Oh, how nice. How nice.
It was unbelievable to see that.
So, um, it's a special time. Everybody has their own memories. Everybody has the smells that they carry with them, which are connected to memories. And with that said, it's a time for sharing with people that you care about, getting together, sharing in any way you can, in any tradition. It doesn't have to be my tradition or Carol's tradition, but the preference is to be on some level together and even giving some degree of giving. And that can be of yourself to
That's
share.
that's that's absolutely. A lot of people choose to volunteer, and various churches have meals, and um, lots of people feel it's part of their Christmas giving of themselves to be involved in some of these things. Just always really lovely.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I have done that on a Christmas day, but only once. That is not part of my ritual, but I think it's a beautiful thing to do, to go and to serve others. So,
So we're close to the end. Do we have a few more things to say? I think we have a few more minutes.
cannolis.
Cannolis.
Yeah, cannolis look easy, but they're not easy to make. They're hard to make that little circle and have it stick together. Making the cream, the cannoli cream, isn't really difficult. And then you just get a pastry, I don't even know what it's called, like uh, thing, then you squirt the cannoli cream inside the cannolis. But making the cannolis are a lot more difficult. They appear simple. Oh, just a simple circle. Don't kid yourself. Now, cannolis are Sicilian. They're very Sicilian, and that's where they came from, is Sicily. And they also have this thing called strufoli. And strufoli is made out of a dozen eggs and flour, a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking soda, or baking powder, I'm sorry, baking powder. And you take it and you roll it out and you cut it into teeny little, um, so teeny little cubes, and then you make them into circles and you put them inside of the fryer. You fry them. You take honey with pieces of orange peel, tangerine peel, and grapefruit peel, and citron, if you can get it, which is also very bitter, and you boil it. So you put a little water in the honey and you boil it down till it becomes very thick. And with these bitter peels, and you've seen this before. They're very well known. You pour all these little balls that you have cooked that are very heavy laden with egg and mix them all up. And then you make these little cones, almost like a Christmas tree, and sprinkle. And the honey becomes very sticky and then dry. You let them dry, and then you break these pieces off and eat them, and they're wonderful. You've seen them.
I'm not sure. We had a tradition for cornflake candy. In fact, I just saw some pictures come up on Facebook from a previous year. My mom's making the cornflake candy, and it was a recipe that came from my grandmother. And so it's basically just melting chocolate and pouring it over cornflakes, but you also had to add Spanish peanuts. And I don't know what happened to Spanish peanuts. You don't find them anywhere anymore, but that was a particular kind of peanut. I remember my mother searching all over in the stores to continue to have the Spanish peanuts for that
So,
recipe. That
sounds
was good.
fun.
It was good anyway. So we'd make massive amounts of this. This was so wonderful. So you just pour the chocolate over the peanuts and the cornflakes. You have to crunch up the cornflakes a little bit and take it out by spoonfuls and let it harden.
Cool
And
and
they
hardened.
were so yummy. My dad started making um, fruit cake.
Oh,
We
wonderful.
and I don't know where he got this recipe. It's
It's
called
hard to make.
white fruit cake,
Uh-huh.
and it had various dried fruits in it and some nuts, and it was kind of a pale cake when you got done with it. And my dad would make them, and he'd give them away, and I kind of carried on that tradition for a while. I would put every little baking dish, I'd make a little fruit cake and give that to my friends and neighbors, and it was a lovely little thing. Very tasty fruit cake.
There's one other thing I've got to talk about.
Okay.
Castagna or chestnuts. And you get the bigger chestnuts. The small ones are from China and they're not as flavorful. The bigger ones are from Italy and they're absolutely delicious. And then what do? You take them and you take and cut across in the top part of them, not totally into the chestnut, but through the hard shell. So you're sitting there making this cross. Then you put them in boiling water with salt and boil them till they start to rise. And then you take them out and drain them. And now the traditional way is to put them by the fire and let them get all crusty. Or you can wait till they've dried off and put them into aluminum foil, close the foil, and put them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 15, maximum 20 minutes, 15 minutes more so, and take them out. And now the crust has peeled back, and you take them and let them cool off and open them. They're delicious, absolutely delicious. So
I
I
I
think
think
that's it.
I think that's it for our
I
show.
think I'm full.
So hopefully people are gathering as they're listening to this program and enjoying good friends, good smells, bright lights,
Trying
and
new
the feeling,
recipes.
trying new recipes and sharing some time with friends and relatives and being kind, sharing yourself with everybody.
So thank you, Carol. It's always a pleasure. And I want to thank Jeremy also. Always a pleasure. I also want to thank today Kathy Davis because she's the
Mhm.
engineer, but I also want to thank Reggie because he works with us every single week, working us through all the complications that we can create.
Uh-huh.
And thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy holidays to you and your family. And I very much look forward to the coming year and sharing so much. There's so much to share.
So we'll be back next
We'll,
week.
we'll be back. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.